Hi, welcome to Great Achievers Academy. Today we will be looking at some math concept called composite of function. Just sit tight and let's enjoy this wonderful lecture together. So today we'll be looking at composition of functions. Okay. Now, we've learned in pre-calculus in our high school that function is given to us as y is equal to f of x. Okay, now composition of function just simply means that when we plug in a function, we're to get an output. Okay, we're to get another function out of that. Okay, so that's just what composition of function is, and we'll be looking at that today. Okay, so let's say, for instance, we're given a function that y is equal to 3x squared plus 1. Okay, let's say this is our function, and we're asked to find what is f of 2. Okay, remember function is y is equal to f of x, and this is our function, and we're asked to find f of 2. So now f of 2 simply means we will take this 2, and anywhere we see the variable x, we plug in this function into it to generate a function. And so in this case, f of 2 simply means 3. So when we have x, we put in 2 squared plus 1. And so 2 squared is 4. And so this is 3 times 4 plus 1. And this is 13. And so we've seen that f of 2, when we plug in f of 2, it generated the function 13. Okay. Let's try another question, a simple one. Let's say y, we're given that y is equal to 2x plus 4. Okay. And now we're asked what is f of 2. So we'll do the same thing. 2, we'll have x, we put in 2 plus 4, and that will be 2 times 2 is 4 plus 4 is equal to 8. Okay, so we plugged in the function 2 and it gave us an output 8. Okay, so now let's try more examples. Let's try to increase the level of difficulty. Let's say now instead of them giving us integers, we're given letters. So let's say find f of a plus 1. Okay, you'll still do the same thing. Plug in the function into, so let's f of a plus 1 with this function. So this is f of a plus 1 is equal to 2x plus 4. Okay, so when we have x, we'll put in a plus 1. So there's 2, open the bracket, a plus 1 plus 4. Now the next thing to do is what? Expand the bracket. So if you expand the bracket, you have what? 2a plus 2 plus 4. And so now you collect like terms. This is like and this is not. So bring this term here. 2a plus 4 plus 2 is 6. So now see that f at a plus 1 is equal to 2a plus 6. Okay. So when we plug in a function, we generate the other. The next thing we're going to look at is now the composition of functions. Okay, where we're going to be asked to find what f of g is, what g of f is, etc., etc. Okay, so what this simply means is that we're trying to find the function of f in g. Okay, so when we plug in g into the function of f, what will be our output? Okay, so sit tight. Let's move into the next phase of today's lesson. All right, so now we're looking at f of g, g of f, and we will continue from there on. Okay, let's say we're given a function that f or f of x is given to us as let's say 3x plus 1. Okay, and then we're giving g of x to be 2x. Okay, so now we're asked find f of g. Okay, so the question said find f of g. Let's say we're given that in our math class or math assignment, or we're doing a practice test and we're asked to find f of g. And so what f of g simply means is find f of g of x. Okay, f of g of x. So now we're given g of x to be 2x. We're given g of x to be 2x. So what this means is that we will take g of x and put into f of x. So this can be written as f of 2x. And in the last example, we said that when we have f of an integer or a number, you just plug it into the equation or the f of x function. So now f of x can then be written as, oh sorry, so we have this now to be f of x. Okay, so we can translate that to that. But then we were given that f of x is 3x plus 1. And so if we have this, now we need to plug in this into our function to generate an output. And so now f of 2 of x would simply mean, f of 2 of x would simply mean where we have x, we plug in 2 of x. And so we have 3 plug in 2x, plus 1. And so now we've translated this. Remember, say f of g is written as f of g of x. Now we write g of x to be 2x because that was given us from the question. Okay, g of x is 2x. So now if f of x is 3x plus 1, then f of 2x, if we simply just substitute our value for gx into here, f of 2 of x will then be this, where we'll just substitute 2x into the function of f of x to get our output or our answer. And so if you do that, you now have, when you expand this bracket, you then have 6x plus 1. And so 6x plus 1 can now be written as f of g. So f of g is 6x plus 1. Okay? So let's just do a brief recap. So we asked to find f of g, and f of g can be interpreted as f of g of x. If g of x is given to us as 2x, and we know from the question that f of x is 3x plus 1, what do we do next? We can interpret g of x by just substituting the value for g of x into this, and so that is f of 2x. And we were taught earlier on that f of 2x is just substituting the value for 2x into the function. So when you substitute the value of 2x into the function, you expand the bracket, and you have f of g to equal 6x plus 1. So this is your right answer. You get 100% in your grade. So next, let's find g of f. Okay, g of f. So the same thing, but now the inverse. So g of f can be written as g of f of x. Okay, now if f of x is given to us as 3x plus 1, my markers are really doing pretty good. Okay, so if f of x is written as 3x plus 1, then g of f of x will then be, you substitute the value for f of x into that. And so you have g of 3x plus 1. And so now I want to find this. Okay, but then we know from our question that g of x is 2x. Okay, and so now right here, if g of x is 2x, so now what is g of 3x plus 1? Is to substitute the value of 3x plus 1 into the variable x. And so g of 3x plus 1 is now equal to 2, open the bracket, 3x plus 1. Okay, and so this, if you expand the bracket, is 6x plus 2. And so in essence, remember how we came to this step? This can be further written as g of f. Okay? So g of f is equal to 6x plus 2. And here we have 6x plus 1, 6x plus 2. Okay? If I walk through the step again with us, we learned that g of f can be interpreted as g of f of x. We learned that f of x given from the question is 3x plus 1. And so if that's the case, we can substitute the value of f of x into our bracket, having g of 3x plus 1. And so from the question we're given that g of x is equal to 2x. Okay? And so if g of x is equal to 2x, then g of 3x plus 1 is to substitute this value into the variable x. And so when we do that and expand the bracket, 2 times 3x is 6x, 2 times plus 1 is plus 2. Okay, now let's increase the level of difficulty. Let's say we're given a function of f to be equal to, let's say, root x plus 2. Okay, root x plus 2, and f of x, and g of x was then given to us as root x plus 1. Okay, and then the same question goes over and over again. Find f of g and g of f. Okay, so sit tight and let's walk you through the next step. All right, so let's say we're given a function f of x. We're given it to be root x plus 2, okay? And we're given g of x to be root x plus 1, okay? So now, and then we're asked the usual question, the normal question, find f of g and g of f, okay? And so what we will have to do is the same thing. So let's start with the very first problem. Find f of g. So f of g can be interpreted as f of g of x. Okay, and so f of g of x. First we need to write what g of x is. So g of x is given to us as root x plus 1. Okay, and so f of g of x can now be interpreted as f of root x plus 1. Okay, but now we know that f of x was given to us as root x plus 2. And so I said to find f of this function, root x plus 1, we have to substitute this function into the variable x. And so doing that, we would have this. So this can be written as root of root x plus 1 plus 2. Now, you could write this as your final answer, but it wouldn't be mathematically comprehensible to look like an amateur way. So let's write it in a more better, coherent, and professional manner. Now, roots of a function can be written as root x plus 1 raised to the power of half. Okay, so root of any number or any variable can be written as to the half. Okay, to the power of half. And so now this can be better written as this. Okay, root of x plus 1, okay, plus 2. But now you can further write this as your answer, you'll still be correct. But you can also write this as now this function to be x plus 1. Remember I said the root of a function is actually raised to the half. Okay, x plus 1 to the half times to the half plus 2. Now, half times half, we know is 1 over 4. And so our final answer, I'll just write that here. So f of g, okay, can be written as x plus 1, right, raised to the power 1 over 4 plus 2. Okay, you could write the answer as this. You could write the answer as this. You could write the answer as this. Or you write the answer as the same thing as the root 4 x plus 1 plus 2. So any way you choose your answer to be, you will be correct. But the best way to write your answer, if you ask me, would be this. Okay, there's root x plus 1, that's our g of x, and to the half plus 2. So that'll be the best way to write your answer. Let's say we're asked now to find g of f. So we can see same step, same manner, just plug in your value into the variable to produce an output. Okay, so same step, and then you end up in your final answer. So now let's say we're asked to find g of f in this case. Okay, so yeah, g of f simply means g of f of x. Okay? G of f of x, and same thing, you write what is in the bracket first. So f of x is given to us. So first step, when you interpret it, you write what's in the bracket. So f of x is given to us as root x plus 2. Okay. And so g of f of x is g of this. That's what? G of root x plus 2. Okay. But remember, g of x was given to us as root x plus 1. Okay. So we want to find this function. Okay, we want to find g of f, so just g of f. So now we have to plug this into the variable x. Okay. So now to do that, this is what will happen. So this into that, we have big square root, and then we're having root x plus 2 plus 1. Okay. So yeah, this is how our answer can be reported as. Okay, root of root x plus 2 plus 1. Okay, or we could write this as root x plus 2 plus 1 in a bigger bracket raised to the half. Okay, now that is a much better way to write it. So g of f could then be written as root x plus 2 plus 1 to the half. Okay. The next problem we'll ask to do, just a quick one, will be to find if we're given a sine function or function of a sine, we'll be asked to find g of f, f of g. But now we'll be adding a third variable where we can be asked to find f of g of h. Okay. Sit tight and let's walk you through the step once more. Say we're asked to find f of g of x, and we're given our function f of x to be x plus 1, g of x to be sine x, and h of x to be x squared. Okay, you see I just manipulated the functions a little bit, just added sine to just try to increase our level of difficulty. So yeah, so the same way we need to first interpret what we mean by f of g of x. And so f of g of x, if I could just draw this here, so f of g of x simply means f of g of h of x. This closes bracket, this closes this bracket, and that closes the bracket. Okay, so f of g of h, so f of g of h is f of g of h of x. Okay, so f of g of h of x. Now the same way, what is h of x? So we start with this. What's g of h of x? So h of x first is given to us as x squared. Okay, so now g of h of x is now what? G of h of x is what? X squared. Okay, g of x squared. But now, mind you, g of x was given to us as sine x, right? So we're given that g of x was a sine x. Okay, so we're now finding what g of h of x is, g of x squared. And so so this is the same thing. So where we have our variable, we'll plug in x squared into it. And so g of h of x now is just simply sine x squared. Okay? Now we've gotten this g of h of x. Now f of g of x, f of g of h of x simply means this. Okay, so first let's write down what we have f of x to be. Okay, so f of x is given to us as x plus 1. Say that here. Right, x plus 1. And so now we've gotten the bracket g of h of x. And so f of g of h of x can be written as, so we have this, so we just put it in that. So f of g of h of x can be written as f of sine x squared. Okay? Yeah, because this is g of h of x. We had h of x with this, and so g of h of x is now g of this. So g of that, just plug in this into our function, and we have that. Okay? So now, f of this is just to plug this function into x. Okay? And so simply doing that, we'll be having sine x squared plus 1. As simple as that. So sine x squared plus 1 is f of g of h is sine x squared plus 1. So that is your final answer. So if I walk us through again, we're given the function f of g of h. We're given that f of x is x plus 1, g of x is sine x, h of x is x squared. Okay? Now, to interpret this, f of g of h is f of g of h of x. Now, h of x was equal to x squared. We're given that from the question, from the function. And so g of x is sine x. So now g of h of x is g of this. Okay, so what is h of x? S squared. So you substitute x squared into g of h of x. So g of x squared is equal to, remember, we had g of x to be sine x. So now you substitute this value x squared into the variable x. And so we have sine of x squared. That is just simply what's this, g of h of x. Now, f of x was given to us from the question as x plus 1. Okay, and now we found out that f of g of h of x is just carry this g of h of x and put it into the bracket. So this is simply f of g of h. Okay, and so this now, we have to substitute this function into the variable to generate an output. And so this is just sine of sine x squared, substitute for x plus 1. And so therefore f of g of h f of g of h can be given to us as sine x squared plus 1. You can try some other example where you do g of f of h, h of f of g, h of g of f, so on and so on, just to get yourself acquainted into the concept and try some more math problems. On the description below, you will see lots of math problems that you can try at home, and better get prepared. Once more again, like and subscribe, and I can't wait to read your comment. Thank you guys. It's great being with us at Great Achievers Academy. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye bye.